just get an audible yes you can, just to make sure, because I'm not now looking at the video.
Yeah.
Okay, super, thanks. So thank you, Carrie and Pi, for inviting new moms to present today about our tentative first steps into participant-facing technology. I'm really excited to be here, and I'll have about 20 or 25 minutes worth of content, though because we're a small enough group, I really invite you to interrupt me along the way and ask questions as we go. We'll have plenty of time at the end too for questions, but because we're a small group and some of this is a little bit technical, I'm happy to pause and take your questions as we go. But because I have my PowerPoint presentation and my notes up and all of the Zoom screens up, I'm not actually looking at the video. So if you do want to speak up, I just invite Carrie to help moderate any of the chat questions that come in, and also just vocalize your question as we go, because I can't see you. And also, if anything happens with sound or technology, you don't see the slides advancing, just also please speak up and let me know so I can address it right away. So my name is Dana. I work for New Moms. I'm the Director of Learning and Innovation at New Moms, which is a new role that was created about a year and a half ago that I took after having about 8 or 9 years of service to New Moms in many other roles. So I started as a volunteer in 2009 and then held a direct participant-facing coaching role, program manager position, and a program consultant role as well. And now I'm the Director of Learning and Innovation, and my role is twofold. The first is to work with our program teams to improve our programming internally, and also externally facing, share what we learn, share our mistakes, share our successes with the broader field like we're doing today, but also then learn from other peer organizations, researchers, what the evidence is to then improve our programming as well. So it's an internal and external facing role. And I will share a little bit more about New Moms now. So New Moms is a family-centered coaching organization that believes in the strengths, skills, and potential of all families to pursue and achieve their goals. And we do this by having a job training, housing, and family support programming for young moms under 24 years old living in the Chicagoland area. And we focus our work on 2 generations, so young moms and their children. And this is really important because we believe in the power and potential of youth and the opportunities that they have, the potential that they have to create foundations for strong families and to take first steps towards economic mobility. So we do that in what we call a 2-generation model that is really taking into consideration the goals of a young mom and the goals that she has for her entire family. Our organization and coaching is grounded in racial equity. We primarily work and partner with young moms of color in Chicago. We're located in the Austin neighborhood and also support 8 western suburban areas. And our coaching is grounded in racial equity, which is really about understanding and centering our work on the goals that a mom has for herself. And we also really understand the systemic barriers that can create conditions of poverty and homelessness. And our work is really to challenge those systemic barriers to reduce obstacles to mom's goal progression. And to implement policies, procedures, and practices and mindsets that really elevate the strengths and skills that a mom has while hopefully reducing the barriers to her next steps. So we also incorporate into our coaching model trauma-informed care, harm reduction, motivational interviewing, and we really use the elements of brain and behavioral science and adolescent development to inform how we do our coaching in our 3 programs: job training, housing, and family support. And we're always asking ourselves, how can we center more on mom's goals, right? How can we redistribute power in coaching relationships rather than a traditional case manager who holds more of the power and access to resources in the relationship? How can we improve a mom's progression towards the goals that she sets for herself? How can we incorporate the science into our work? And how can we decrease the challenges of coaching for our coaches and improve our programming efficacy and our operational efficacy in service of these other goals? We're often and always asking ourselves, and about 2 years ago when we transitioned from a more traditional case management approach to a more family-centered coaching approach, I was a consultant with new moms, and they hired me full-time really to focus on tackling these questions. And so we started to really think about, what are the ways in which we can address all of these questions in our programming. So we did a lot of surveying of coaches and young moms. What would be helpful for you? What would you like to see? And we identified that the meeting of the participants' aims, the coach's goals, and the science could be potentially a technology that supports and supplements our in-person coaching. So this is the opportunity, one of the opportunities that we've identified and that I've been working on over the past 1.5 years in this role. But technology might be one way in which we can advance our aims for centering on mom's goals and the family well-being and her opportunities for economic mobility, incorporating brain and behavioral science into our coaching, and decreasing the obstacles of coaching so moms and participants, young moms can, coaches and young moms, can really focus on the core of their goal progression. So how might we, right, enable technology to turbocharge our coaching? So I'll give you a little bit of an overview of our app initiative, right? This technology idea. It started with this kind of like light bulb once we asked young moms kind of really what would help and asked coaches what would help. And they identified potentially having a technology that was participant facing rather than coach facing. So last year I spent about 9 to 10 months in a research and exploration phase. I'll dive in a little bit more about what that looked like with you. Now we're in the next phase of convening a coalition of like-minded peer organizations, partners, technologists, and funders in our development phase. And next we're going to be piloting and launching. So I want to kind of clarify that although earlier it was framed that we have implemented this technology, we really like it. We really like the process that we've engaged in so far, but we haven't actually implemented a full app yet, a full supplemental coaching app. We haven't implemented it yet, but along the way, we've been doing some prototyping and testing, and we've liked what we've learned so far. And so I'm happy to share what that process has been like. So we started by asking ourselves, what are the challenges, right? What are the challenges that moms are facing? What are the challenges that coaches are facing that decrease the efficacy of the coaching, that get in the way of moms progressing towards the goals that they set for themselves, right? Through data review, through conversations, through surveys of moms and coaches, we discovered that although coaching is effective, it is challenging and it's very hard to scale. At New Moms, we serve about 400 families per year. And that just scratches the surface of how many families want to access New Moms coaching and supports. And so in order to scale our coaching, we knew that we had to make efficiencies in there. So some of these challenges were time. It takes a lot more time to progress towards the goals that a mom sets, to set them, progress towards them. It takes a lot more time long-term, but also in each coaching session. It's a lot more time intensive to do effective coaching than it is to be a little more case manager directed, right? It's a slower pace because the coach isn't fixing problems or challenges that come up unless there's a crisis situation, but the pace of goal progression might be a little slower. Participants and coaches also fill out so many forms, right? There's a ton of paperwork that it's hard for them to stay organized. So paperwork and organization, both on the mom and the participant, is challenging. Power shift, right? We're really committed to a mindset and practice of racial equity in our organization, and a lot of that is around redistributing and relinquishing power that a coach or a case manager has. And so that is different, kind of can be a different mindset and practice that some coaches and some young moms have. And so that takes some time. Contact and communication, we want to be in communication more frequently, especially in COVID, but it's challenging to do. And as Pi identified earlier in the presentation from the needs assessments, we too have challenges with multiple data systems, data entry at every level. We don't collect data on goal progression, only goal achievement. We think there's a lot of impact left on the table. So as you can see, there are a lot of challenges of coaching, but we really do think that coaching is more effective than our traditional previous approach of case management. So we think that technology can address many of these concerns. So about a year ago, we started to do some internal product testing. So we looked out there for what was available on app stores, and we tested 7 coaching and goal tracking platforms. Some of them are here. None of them were really the right fit. None of them really addressed that Venn diagram that I showed you of both centering on the mom's needs, coaching supports, and the brain and behavioral science of adolescent development. And so we learned a lot from the testing, but we didn't find something that was ready to go that we could implement right away. We also talked with many nonprofits that have developed technology, including our Chicagoland partners, Lakeview Pantry, to gather their lessons learned around the technology development process. And we really felt encouraged by this learning to continue the process of understanding, like, what would it take to develop technology? We're not technologists. I have no background in technology. So what would it take to fund this, to develop this? What's the timeline? What's the cost? What's the skill level that we need? So we set out to find additional expertise with a partnership and identified Promise Ventures Studio in Silicon Valley, which is an early childhood development technology accelerator. And they had a fellowship opportunity that we joined last summer. And our fellowship with Promise Ventures Studio also connected us to Harvard Center on the Developing Child. So we had technologist support as well as brain and behavioral science coaching from the Center on Developing Child together. And our coaches helped us over an intensive summer-long fellowship to discern our design needs, app features, sketch out a potential app development process. They connected us with different app developers so that we could understand the potential scope of our app development process. We conducted internal needs finding with participants and coaches. We even designed and tested initial really low advancement technology, so prototyping really quickly with Google Forms. It was very cheap and very fast. And then we considered questions of scale and business model. So with this thought partnership, we really were able to hone in on our minimum viable product requirements, the MVP. So this is the list of our MVP, our desired features, that whatever app we choose or however we develop it, it needs to be participant-centered. It needs to help young moms organize, set, and track the goals for themselves. We needed to have appointment and goal reminders. A big challenge we had was participants, having a piece of paper and then putting it somewhere and then not remembering an appointment or a goal that they had set. So appointment reminders, a way of connecting and communicating in real time around goal progression successes or obstacles, and a way to seamlessly collect and analyze data with our internal databases so we don't have to have a full another data system, but that instead it already just connects in with what we already have. So this was our MVP. We also identified that our coaching app needed to be fun, interactive, incentivize, nudge progression towards goals, and can potentially integrate with future technology. And this had us thinking about a technology strategy for new moms. So beyond just this app, how can this connect with our agency-wide technology strategy? So we've started to build technology strategy into our next strategic plan. So from all that research, an emergent pathway kind of started. We identified an amazing behavioral app designer in Canada called Ayogo. And together with Ayogo and Promise Venture Studio, we have been conducting and validating new moms' needs for coaching application with other organizations around the country. So we've had about 10 interviews with other peer organizations, small ones and large national ones, that may also be interested in co-developing and designing a goal-setting platform and coaching app for young families. And so Ayogo, us, and Promise Venture are creating a coalition right now that can move this process together, forward together, and potentially co-fundraise together. New Moms is a $5 million annual organization. This is a bigger, more expensive project than we could tackle on our own. And for Ayogo as an app developer, they have the expertise, but they also need to know that they have the market available for their app. So if any of you are interested in learning more about our little nascent coalition of coaching app organizations, let me know, and we can do an interview with you and get you connected in. So the next step is that we are going to be convening our group, developing an MOU, and then over the next 9 to 12 months, moving from the development phase into pilot and testing phase on Ayogo's behavioral platform that they already have created. So what have we learned so far in this discovery phase? Obviously, COVID changed a lot and accelerated our learning around technology quite a bit. It was actually in that way we learned a lot in a really condensed period of time. We've learned what works with virtual coaching and what doesn't work with young moms. We learned the ways that we need to have continued in-person support and can supplement with virtual Zoom coaching, phone coaching, or text coaching. We also identified the technology needs we have for staff in order to prepare them to support young moms with an eventual coaching app, where we have strengths and struggles and where we have ongoing gaps in our own programming technology. We learned about digital access issues that participants face, and we have been validating the needs that other organizations have for this similar technology. So we felt very certain that we don't need to go it alone. And so overall, our project learnings and recommendations are kind of the 4 that I have listed here. You know, we really need to continually listen to our constituents. We're building this with them, not just for them. And so they need to be present every step of the way to help co-design the process. So this is for us, this is coaches and young moms need to be continually centered, continually engaged in the process. This is essential. We're sure that our app won't work if we don't do this. Partnerships matter. We have found a great partner in Ayogo and Promise Venture Studios, and it took us a while to find them, and Ayogo's not going to be the cheapest app developer out there, but we believe that they understand our goals. They really understand and care for our mission, and so we've been really excited about the partnership. The right partner makes a big difference. Rapid cycle testing, quick, cheap, early learnings make a big difference in the direction of your project. So implement rapid cycle testing right now. You can start today with a Google form. You can start right now and today on your Slack channels with rapid cycle tests, and have adaptive leadership strategies in place, preparing your teams for change in the long run. And so having buy-in from leadership as well as frontline and every kind of part of your programming and operations team, so that when you do move into the development and pilot phase, you have champions already who are ready to go with the change. Those are our early learnings and recommendations for developing technology. Though we haven't completed our project yet, we have been really excited about how it's gone so far. We've had lots of learning, and that's been thanks to so many of our partner nonprofits, through partnerships like Promise Venture Studio and the Center on Developing Child, and organizations like AYOGO that have helped show us what is possible and what we can dream of for the future with additional funding. So we haven't launched yet, but we're really positive and optimistic about what the future holds for us. And so if you're interested in learning more, please connect with me. I mean, I'm happy to answer questions now, but please also let me know if you want to learn more about this specific app project as well.
Thank you, Dana. That was amazing. I'm super excited for you guys and impressed with all the work that you've done. It sounds really like it's going to be fruitful for you in more ways than just getting the app going, you know. Can you explain what rapid cycle testing is real quick?
Sure, and this is a great question. We have done a lot of work with our Harvard coach on rapid cycle testing. The idea is that you create a quick, very cheap and basic prototype, an early design of what you want, and test it out really quickly in quick, short cycles, and then you learn quickly and you iterate along the way. So our example is that we, like before we really even started to talk to AYOGO about their platform, their technology, we created a Google form with some of the questions around goal setting and coaching that we wanted. It's free because we already use Google. Our coaches could implement it, use it right away. It's accessible on their phones. So during coaching, they were like, with the participant, can we test this project out? You know, what would you say? What did you like? What did you dislike? And then over about 6 weeks, every couple of weeks, we made some tweaks to that Google form to see what they liked more, what they didn't like more, where they got stuck, where they didn't get stuck. And so we changed and learned along the way, rather than waiting 6 months, investing a ton of money and time to test out a more advanced product that maybe didn't work. So it's quick, short cycle tests that you iterate along the way. So you learn faster along the way. And it was a new way of thinking and designing product and program in our organization. So it took us a while to figure out the right cadence for us. I have a ton more information that I can share on rapid testing too, if you're interested.
We will be tapping you as a resource. I am certain of it.
I have a couple questions. But, it seems like you have a question, Mayor.
Oh, go ahead, Ann. I can wait.
I just have 2 questions. It seems like one of your turning points was when you hooked up with Promise Venture Studios. How did you make that hookup, or how did you identify them?
Yeah, digging and networking. So we were doing the product testing, and I found an app that we really liked called Goal Mama, which is a proprietary app that a big home visiting network called Nurse Family Partnership had developed. And they developed it with a group called Hope Lab, a technology accelerator, Hope Lab and AYOGO. And so I knew we couldn't use Goal Mama because it's proprietary and we don't use the Nurse Family Partnership home visiting process or curricula. So I contacted AYOGO and Hope Lab and I said, we're interested in this, what can we do? And they said, our partner, Promise Venture Studio, is putting together this fellowship for organizations like New Moms, other family serving organizations and early childhood development organizations, to help organizations that are in this like really nascent stage that don't know anything about technology to figure this out. So they put us in contact with Promise and we applied for the fellowship. But really it was just about reaching out to people who've already done it and saying, what can we learn from you? And it turns out now we're working with AYOGO because Goal Mama is the platform that they created for nurse-family partnership. And though we can't use that platform, they still own the code, and they can use that as a basis on which they can build. So we're not starting from zero also with them. They already have a sense of what it takes to do supplemental coaching with youth from their experience with nurse-family partnership. So that was just like another reason to work with AYOGO and Promise, is they already kind of had this, the sense of where we wanted to go.
Right. My other question had to do with the thing you kind of ended with about listen to your constituents, which was about that. Do you have like standing consumer like panel or consumer board that you have? And I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit about that, how you get, you know, your consumers to give you feedback.
Great question. I'm so glad you asked this. This is a gap that we identified at the early stage. Like, you know, we started to do this, and really how we were asking young moms was through their coaches. So we were saying to our coaching team, you know, can you have a young mom fill out this 3-question survey while you're doing your coaching session? Let's set up a focus group of young moms and coaches. And we did a lot of that. We did a lot of Post-it brainstorming stuff when we could be in person, but we didn't have a parent advisory committee or council that could really co-design as an entity with me, with our staff. And we identified that was a big gap. So now we're working on that. So we are in the planning stages for launching a parent advisory council that will be essential in determining if this is a project that they want to dedicate effort, time to work on, or if they want to have and help us set up more focus groups with participants. Now with coaches, we asked for those who were interested to join, kind of like be champions. And so we identified 3 coaches who really were excited about technology. And they were the ones who were doing some of the early prototype testing. So it looked different for coaches and participants. But we didn't have it all set up right away to do the prototyping that we wanted. And I think that was an area that it was a good learning for us. Like, we can continue prototyping along the way, even if we don't have all the infrastructure set up for it. But we do need to build that infrastructure over time so that when we move into the pilot and testing phase, we have a parent advisory council, we have focus groups set up to speak into it.
So I think we have about 5 more minutes. So what I'm going to do is I needed to get a little bit of feedback from the group. So I'm going to move to my section. And if when I'm done, there's still time, then we can ask Dana more questions. But also just know that you can reach out to her. Can people reach out to you, Dana?
Yeah, I'll put my email in the chat right now.
Perfect. So let me pull up my thing here. All right. So basically from today forward for technology, we are going to break into smaller groups that are more focused. So group 1 will be a like organizational technology, like internal facing databases, things like that. And the other one will be client engagement apps. So exactly sort of what Dana is talking about. So I need everybody to go into their chat, and you don't, if you're just here to like get info and you're like, you know what, I'm not interested in technology doing any of this anymore, that's fine. You can respond that way in the chat. but we're just sort of wanting to refine what folks are interested in. So let me go to the next slide if I can. Here we go. So I want you to go into the chat, and I want you to type group 1 and which one of these do you fall into? And then group 2, which one do you fall into? So this little red mark over here is sort of what your chat response will say. Yeah. It's hard for me to see the chat while I am. Hey, Laura, you're on the chat, I think. Can you just let me know when it seems like everybody is sort of, when I can move on to the next one? I can't see the chat while I'm in presentation mode for some reason.
For everybody. Everybody responded. Do you need me to read them to you, or?
Oh no, I just need them for later. And then, so for those who are interested in new organizational technology, what would you like to specifically work on? So these are the like highest ranking items that the needs assessment pulled out. So we will probably, we just want to better kind of design how we're gonna work with everybody. And so we want to see, of these items, A, B, or C, which ones are you most specifically interested in working on? And you can pick more than one. And so your question, your little chat box over here will look like that. And if you have something else to explain, you can just explain in your chat. I know that not everybody is going to fall into those main groups, but it's best if we, whoops. I see the chat now. Okay, so we're going to move on, assuming that everyone has chatted. So the next question is for everyone. Are there other ways you envision the network could help in addition to these three things? So these are three of the main areas that everyone was interested in having the network help with their technology concerns. And we want to know from you guys, is there anything we're missing? Oh. And we have about 30 seconds. So unfortunately, Dana, I don't think we're going to get to more questions for you in this. I wish we had like an hour. I would love to drill your drill deeper into what you guys experienced. So
sorry, for people who are in the Medicaid small group, the survey we were discussing is linked in the chat, and you can pull it up now. And then we finished early, so I went ahead and finished the rest of the meeting content for them. So as long as you promise me you'll do the post-meeting survey, you're welcome to open that in another window and leave the meeting. And Heather, I will follow up with you right after this.
Great, thanks.
Carrie, did you get a chance to finish? You're muted.
I'm trying to save the chat. I'm having a hard time saving it. I need to save all of these responses. So give me 1 second while I continue to.
That's no problem. I just wanted to make sure you had time to finish in the technology group.
More or less, we could have gone for a lot longer, but hold on. Oh man, I don't know how to save this. Go to File.
Carrie,
Yeah.
I can save it if you'd like, because you had made me a co-host. Share my slides so I can save it. I have the ability.
Save the chat for me. Thank you so much. If you can
You're
figure that
welcome.
out, give us like a minute so she can do that. I don't know why it's not working for me.
No problem.
Thank you.
Okay.